Today I'm going to be talking about using the quadratic formula, and this is day 1. So the first thing is the quadratic formula. We have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And in class, I derived this formula using the standard form of a quadratic equation and completing the square. Okay, so let's use this quadratic formula. It says using the equation using the quadratic formula. So when we're using the quadratic formula, we have to know what a, b, and c are. So this is in standard form, so we know that a is 3, b is 6, and c is 3. So we're going to write down our quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now all we have to do is plug in. So we have x is equal to negative b, so it's a negative 6, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 36, minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, where we make the most mistakes is when we simplify. So you have to be very careful in simplifying and multiplying our positives and our negatives. So we now have a negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 4 times 3, which gives us a 36, all over 6. So if we simplify that, it's a negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 6, okay? So this is going to be negative 6 over 6, which gives us a negative 1. So our value for this one is a negative 1. And keep in mind, underneath our radical right here was a 0, so that only gave us one solution. We're going to go back to that a little bit later, okay? Let's do this again. A is 6, b is negative 2, and c is 1. So let's plug this in. X is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4ac all over 2a, which is 6. All right, so now we have 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 24 all over 12. So we now have 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 20 all over 12. And we have to simplify that radical, so we get 2 plus or minus 2i square roots of 5 over 12. Because when we simplify the radical square root of negative 20, it's 5 times 4, so we take out that 2 and our I. Now, when we have something like this, we still have to simplify it. We can take out the common monomial of 2, so this would be 1 plus or minus I square roots of 5 all over 12. And we can simplify this to be 1 plus or minus I square roots of 5 over 6, because 2 over 12 simplifies to be 1/6. So at the very end, make sure we're simplifying this radical and this fraction correctly. Let's do another example. All right, now these are not in standard form, so we have to make sure that they are in standard form. So for this one, I'm going to add a 3x. So this is going to be 2x squared plus 3x minus 4, because we added 3x to both sides. Okay? So now our a value is 2, our b is 3, and our c is a negative 4. All right, so now we have a negative b plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 9 minus 4a, which is 2, and then c, which is a negative 4, all over 2a. Now be really careful underneath this radical. If you notice, we have a 9 minus 4 times 2 minus 4. This is where most people make that really tiny mistake of the positives and the negatives. So what I do is I do negative 4 times 2 times negative 4. And we get a positive 32. Be really careful that we get a positive there, all over 4. Okay, so now we have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 32 plus 9, which is a 41, all over 4. There's nothing to simplify for that one, so we can just leave it. Okay, this next one here, I'm going to add the 4x to both sides. So we get a negative 5x squared plus 4x minus 6 equals 0. So our A is a negative 5, our B is a 4, and our C is a negative 6. Plug it into the quadratic formula. So x equals a negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 16 minus 4, a, which is a negative 5, c, which is a negative 6. So this one's another different one here, all over 2a, and a is a negative 5. So when we simplify this one, when we multiply it out, we get 16, and a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. So it's going to be 4 times 5 times 6, which is 120, all over a negative 10. So x will equal a negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 minus 120. And that gives us a negative 104. All over a negative 10. Now we have to simplify a negative 104. So x equals a negative 4 plus or minus okay, and what we can do, it's going to be 2i square roots of 26 all over a negative 10. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a negative 2 out of the top. So that becomes 2 plus or minus I square roots of 26 all over a negative 10. So x will equal 2 plus or minus I square roots of 26 all over, and 2 over 10 is 1/5. Okay, that one, the simplification is a little bit more complicated. All right, next up. This time we're finding the discriminant of the quadratic equation, and then we're going to describe the number and type of solutions of the equation. Well, the discriminant is the number underneath the radical. Okay? And a part of the formula of what is underneath the radical is b squared minus 4ac. And remember, the very first problem, 0 was underneath the radical. So if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, we get one real solution. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, meaning positive, we get two real solutions. And if b squared minus 4ac is a negative or less than 0, we get two imaginary solutions. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the discriminant and use that discriminant to determine how many solutions. Okay? So for this one, A is 1, B is negative 1, and C is 6. So we plug this into b squared plus 4ac. So b squared is going to be a negative 1 squared plus 4ac. So this is going to be 1 plus 24, so it's going to be a 25. So the discriminant is 25, and since it is a positive number, we're going to get 2 real solutions. All right, let's do the next one. A is -1, B is 2, C is 12. Plug into b squared plus 4ac. B is 2, A is -1, C is 12. So this is going to be 4 plus, oh no, it's going to be negative because we have a -1 in there, so be careful. 4 minus 48, so we get a -44. And since that is a negative number, it's going to be 2 imaginary solutions. All right. Let's practice 2 more of these, okay? Now these aren't in standard form, so we have to put them in standard form to get this right. So let's add the 18 to get p squared plus 18p plus 81. So A is 1, B is 18, C is 81. So we're going to do b squared, 18 squared plus 4ac, which is 81. 18 squared is going to be 324 plus 4 times 81, which is 3. Oh, and that's going to be a minus. Oh, my mistake. Sorry. 18 squared minus 4ac. Got to make sure to have that correct. So now we have 324 minus 324, and our discriminant is 0, so we get 1 real solution. All right, let's do one more. So let's subtract the x. -2x squared minus x minus 6. A is a -2, B is a -1, and C is a -6. So we get b squared, -1 squared, minus 4ac. Got to be careful of those pluses and minuses. So we get 1 minus 4 times 2 times 6, because a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. So we get -48. So our answer is a -47, and that is 2 imaginary solutions. And that is your quadratic formula.